Welcome to On Repeat, the weekly podcast giving you an insight into the minds of musicians. With me, Ellie Rashid.
And me, Hattie Winter. This week, we're keeping the band Talk Show on repeat and talking all things music with singer and guitarist Harrison Swann.
If you've not heard of Talk Show, get ready for them. The four-piece post-punk band have been named a force of nature by Clash magazine and are part of NME's Ones to Watch list for 2020. Both titles we couldn't agree with more.
In this episode, we get a real insight into Harrison's creative process, and we talk the origins of deciding the talk show name, stealing marketing, writing lyrics, and of course, honing your craft. Before kicking off the interview, we'll include a snippet of Talk Show's music, and do bear in mind that this episode was recorded pre-lockdown. Now sit back, relax, and keep it on repeat with Harrison Swann from Talk Show.
Yeah, we're kind of like post-punk, gothy, kind of bit shouty, but also a little bit romantic because I'm an idiot kind of thing.
Yeah, you do have a little bit of a romantic vibe, don't you?
Yeah.
Very romantic, very romantic lyrics.
We'll
get into this later on.
Yeah.
You all met at Goldsmiths?
Yes. Yeah, so I met George at a house party because we were complaining in the corner of a room about how much we hated the music that was playing. And kind of unanimously went, oh, you like the same bands that I like. Do you want to be in a band? And we were like, yeah, cool, fine. So then me and George were playing together for a while with like a few other people. And then George was living with our guitarist, Tom, who then joined. And then the last person to join the band was Chloe, our drummer. And I was talking to a mutual friend outside the library about needing a drummer for the band. And Chloe sat next to him and went, oh, I play drums. And I was like, cool, come to rehearsal tomorrow at 9:00. So, yeah.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
It's funny that you spoke about meeting George and kind of uniting over disagreeing about something. Because I have a feeling that that's the first time I properly met you at... I think at some kind of show, and you were outside.
It probably was. I reckon that's about how 90% of bands find their bandmates, because they're stood outside of gigs and this is shit, we can do better.
That's how I found my friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate everyone here.
Yeah.
You too? Great.
We're great. We're going to get on.
Am I right in thinking that Chloe wanted to join even though she thought your name would be Torture?
Yeah. So, again... fantastic piece of intelligence from Chloe is that the band was already kind of going, and we were like, right, we need to pick a name. We don't have a name. Went through loads and loads of stuff, and just nothing was like clicking. Didn't sound right. And then me and George were like, oh, Talk Show is a great idea. And we're like, okay, cool. So then bring it to Chloe and Tom. And I was like, yeah, we decided on a name, Talk Show. And Chloe's a bit like, okay, yeah, I mean, I can run with it. That's fine. And I was like, okay, I mean, I thought it was all right, but she's happy with it. The next day, we're like, actually, we're going to be called The Talk Show. And she was like, what? What did you just say? And I was like, The Talk Show. She's like, no. I was like, what? She's like, I've told all my housemates and friends we were going to be called Torture. And I was like, no. We are not going to be called Torture. Absolutely not. So, yeah, she was like, I just couldn't understand your northern accent. I'm sorry.
But she ran with it.
Yeah, she ran with it for like...
All right, then.
Well, I'd say the next day, it was about 2 weeks that she ran with it and told everyone that we were going to be called Torture. No wonder we couldn't find any gigs for like 2 months.
It's so difficult to come up with names, I think, isn't it?
It's impossible to come up with the name. We went through loads of stuff we didn't want first. So we went through like, we don't want certain words, and we don't want animals, or we don't want whatever. You go through things you don't want, so then you can start to narrow it down. I remember just like I mean, I do this for lyrics as well, just like being on the bus and just like looking at every shop sign or like reading books and just like, oh, that'd be good, that'd be good, that'd be good. I remember me and George like wrote this like huge mind map of like 1 million different words are going, like trying to piece stuff together, and even that didn't work. And then I think must have just really randomly gone, let's call ourselves Talk Show, or just like, oh, that's a good band name, and then just stuck with
that.
it.
Like process of elimination. That's what doesn't work.
I think it helps also when you, in terms of actually writing as well. When we were first starting, it took me ages to kind of get. I mean, Talk Show is the first band I've ever really been in, and so it took me ages to get Talk Show going because I didn't really know what I wanted to write. Because you're going, oh well, I like this and I like that and I like this and I like that, but then doesn't mean that you're probably best at actually doing those things. You're probably better going, right, well, I don't want to make this kind of music and I don't want to make that kind of music, and it's a process of elimination. And it's also not a negative way to approach it. It's just more productive. It's like going shopping. You kind of know what you're looking for. Say you want to go buy a suit and whatever, but you're like, well, I know I don't want
pinstripes
and I don't want a 3-piece, and I don't want it to have a load of flowers on it, and I want it to be fitted. I don't want it to be baggy, and by process of elimination, you go, all right, okay, I've got what I needed.
Yeah, once you get used to it and keep saying it,
it
kind of goes, I think, and you get used to it.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Well, it's like at first everyone was like, oh, is it because you kind of got like a spoken word delivery kind of thing? I was like, nope, literally has no meaning at all.
Interesting.
And now we never get asked that question because no one, the name of Talk Show has arguably lost its meaning a little bit with the band. No one kind of goes, oh yeah, is it somehow related to talk shows? So, no, not at all.
Yeah, it's like trying to find like meaning in it. Kind of like when people are like, what's your tattoo for?
Yeah.
And it's like, actually nothing.
Yeah. It looks good and I wanted it on my arm kind of thing. It's like, it sounds good and I wanted my band to be called it. It's the same.
If Talk Show were a talk show, who would you have on your talk show? Dead or alive.
Right.
Like you're
dead
like
or alive.
Dead or anyone you want. Like you got like 3 guests, like you're Michael Parkinson. Who would you have?
Oh, okay. So, well, this is kind of, it's difficult because if it was the band, it'd probably be different because we'd each have our own one person that we'd want. If it was kind of like dinner party guests.
Yeah, let's go.
If I could choose my 3, I would always say John Cooper Clarke.
Nice.
Muhammad Ali and Frida Kahlo. Those are my 3.
Ooh,
those are my 3.
Strong.
Very strong.
Because they're all really wacky, and I feel like everyone would be a right laugh and really funny and up for a party, but also still really interesting. So when it's at 4 a.m, you end up having a really, really deep one with Muhammad Ali or something. It'd be great.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be great. It'd be so good.
I think he'd have so much wisdom.
Yeah,
I think all
exactly.
3 of them would have a lot of wisdom to pass down. Like the stories they could tell.
Yeah, exactly. Of like John Cooper Clarke being just this like heroin addicted poet in Manchester and like of the 80s and all the stuff he would have been able to say of like hanging out with Nico from Velvet Underground and stuff, and then also Muhammad Ali being arguably the greatest sportsman of all time and all this kind of stuff. It's like yeah, that's what I've
Frida.
always said. Yeah, I'm Frida as well. Yeah, just Frida, man.
That sounds like a good dinner party.
Yeah, that's I'll settle for nothing less. That's all I'm going to say.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
We'll pull some strings.
Yeah. 2 of them are dead.
Do you take a lot of inspiration from like John Cooper Clarke?
Yeah, big time. I remember reading his first book whilst I was at uni, and it just being like the penny dropping of just being like, this is kind of what I want to write kind of thing. This is a style that feels natural, and I felt was already writing in that way anyway, but I didn't know what to relate it to or to pin it to. Because we were talking about that process of elimination thing. Like, I was narrowing it down, but then didn't have like a focal point still. And discovering John Cooper Clarke and a lot of other bands as well at that time, like discovering a lot of like really, really weird, obscure 70s and 80s like goth bands and stuff was like, okay, yeah, this is really, I can see where and what I want to do with this. But I suppose if we were to do like the band did a talk show, who do we invite? We probably invite like the Stranglers, or we'd invite Echo and the Bunnymen, and loads of other people like that.
Yeah, you've been compared to them quite a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
Which is great. Like, we played a gig last night, and some dude comes up to us and is just like, "I've never heard of you, but you were great. You were like watching the Stranglers, and I saw them in 1979. I was like, you've just made my day, mate. You have no idea. You've made my day." But again, we've all got our own personal kind of influences. Like Chloe, when she first started the band, like, and she still is into this, but I remember the first rehearsal, she was like, "Oh, cool. So, like, what kind of stuff are we writing? Or what we're going to play?" I was like, "Oh, well, what are you into?" And she was just like, disco, funk, soul. And me and George just looked at each other and were like, "Oh, God, no. This is going to be really difficult now." But no, it still works. And I think you can arguably hear that in what we're playing and writing a little bit. If you listen to Chloe's actual parts, there is definitely some of that in there. Maybe it's pretty obscure and it's pretty loose, but it is the influence is still there.
Because I would assume that influences the writing quite a lot, doesn't it? It gives its own sort of spin to what you intend to do.
Yeah, I mean, in the early days, it was like... Early days, it sounds like I've been going 10 years. It hasn't. It's only been going like 3. But when we first started, I suppose yes and no, because I can't play drums. Every now and again, I'll be like, "Oh, can you just try it a little bit more like this or like that?" Rather than going, "No, that's not right. We need to scrap it," because it's got to be something that she enjoys playing as well. And the whole point of how we write is that I would originally start with an idea and take it to the band, and then we'd expand from it. It's now way more even. Tom will bring something in, George will bring something in, Chloe will bring something in and go, "Can we write with this?" And obviously stuff naturally changes and the band will go, "I'm not really feeling that. Can we change it up?" And you kind of have to take one on the chin and go, "Okay, cool, fine." Like, the band, this isn't right, so we need to rethink it. I'll come in with an idea and it will completely change over the kind of however many weeks or months it takes us to write that song. Sometimes it happens in a day and we finish it on the day, and that's like, cool. That doesn't need anything else. We're fine with that. Other times we've slogged over songs that take a year and a half to write. But I think as we've learned to play with each other better, and because of doing the amount of gigs that we've now done with each other, it's a lot quicker than it was. Because we've learned each other's playing styles, basically.
Do you start with lyrics then as your main idea, or the music? Completely changes.
There'll be some stuff that sometimes I'll bring in a riff and then play it to the band. The band will kind of start playing whatever they think will fit to that. They'll be playing, and then I'll actually stop playing and go, "I think this sounds better without me playing that riff. So I'm now just going to sing. So now I'm just going to add words to it." Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm just singing in this. I'm not even playing guitar. Sometimes I will have written a full verse or whatever. I'll stop writing a riff or writing a part to it, and then due to the nature of it not quite fitting, stuff will change of what I've lyrically written. Completely depends.
Pretty collaborative then.
Yeah, definitely. We always wanted it to be that way, because especially when you play in the set so many times, people have to feel some ownership of it. I mean, it's different obviously if you have a load of session players, but we're all skint. I can't afford to get session players in. I also don't want session players. I don't want someone that's going to join us for 3 shows and then never play with us again or whatever. I want someone that's going to be in the band, that they have ownership of it. And part of that is kind of feeling ownership of the songs and the set and everything else that goes with it.
Definitely. I think that comes across on stage. So I saw you guys in Islington.
Maybe, the Lexington.
Which was really, really cool. And it's quite funny you say that you don't have any money for session players, because I'm pretty sure, like, was it like Tom's string like broke?
Well, so oh my god. So the first song, I'm notorious for snapping strings. Like, I go through them like they're butter. I have to take spare guitars to gigs because I will break one. Like, I will break a string. And then
it sounds really threatening. Yeah, I will break a string.
I will break a string.
It's so anxiety inducing as well. Like, do you not? Maybe you're used
it's
to
worse.
it.
Well, it's frustrating because when we played in Milan back in September, obviously we can't afford to take loads of gear with us. My suitcase is my guitar and a hard case, and then I have all my clothes in my bag on hand luggage, so I can't take a spare. I remember the first song we played, I snapped a string. I was like, right, just gonna have to get on with this, and it'll be fine, but we'll get through it, and it's fine. And then halfway through the set, I snapped another string, so I'm playing with like 4 strings, and I'm like, this is just awful. Like, this is now a car crash that I can't stop. It's like crashing a car and the brakes aren't working, going, oh my God, can we just hit this wall now and just end? It was awful.
What do you do? Like, do you have to explain the situation?
No, because you just got to get on with it. I hate that. When I go to gigs and the band is making excuses for themselves, unfortunately, I don't really care. Like, you need to get on with it. Like,
the show must go on.
Yeah, the show has to go on. You have to get to the end of it. Moaning that you can't carry on because you snapped a string, and my other pet peeve as well, which I think so many artists early on get wrong, is explaining every song before they play it. I don't care, unfortunately, that this song is about your cat that you've not seen in 2 weeks. Like, unfortunately, it's not. The audience isn't there to hear you explain it. They're there to hear you play it. And unfortunately, if you've not told your story well enough in your song, then you shouldn't have explained. You've written a shit song. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got to explain what this song is about, then you've not done your job in writing a song.
I find it quite endearing when like bands or solo artists or whatever just don't say anything. Like, I remember seeing Björk a few years ago, and the only thing she said was at the end, she just went, "Thank you."
Yeah, exactly. Because she doesn't need to. It's because you're not there to hear her explain her stuff to you. You're there to see her play it. Like, obviously, there's a difference between like having a bit of banter with the crowd or whatever, and I think again that's really hard to learn. It's taken me a while to learn it as well, and you kind of sometimes you realise some crowds don't want to have a chat and a laugh with you. They're there to watch you, but some, if they're really dry and you crack a joke and everyone starts laughing, then everyone's really into your set. So it works both ways.
How long did it take you to learn to be a showman? Because I think I saw you at your like final year show. Yeah. I remember like sneaking, and you were like the only band I saw. I like snuck in. I got like a really good seat in the front, and I was like, "Hey!" I
remember staring at you for that entire gig of you in the front row, like the front 2 seats in front of me. I felt the like whole gig of you just like, "Oh my God!"
I was so proud. I was like a mother goose. But you had like this real like showmanship kind of like energy there.
I've always been a show off. Like, I am a show off. Like, I've got an ego. It's a big joke amongst friends. Like, so arguably that's where it comes from. But I did a lot of drama at school. Like,
did you?
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know this.
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor originally. That's kind of originally what I wanted to do. And then when it came to applying for drama school or looking to like be in a band and be a musician, it was like, actually, no, I really, really don't want to be an actor. I want to be a musician. It's just because at the time I couldn't play guitar and wasn't in any bands. Obviously, I was a lot younger, so I didn't have as much experience gigging or whatever. And so I'd kind of told myself to not do it. And then I had that kind of switch moment of going, no, I don't want to be an actor. I do really want to be in a band. But if I want to be in a band, I've got to start learning guitar, writing songs and going out and like doing it. I've got to go. It's like start now. So I think that's where it like switched. But I think the kind of showmanship thing, that's weird for me to say, but that's arguably where it comes from a little bit. But like you said earlier about us like all getting on and being collaborative, I think that again comes across on stage because it's just who we are as people. We function, we're 4 best mates, and that's just how we're going to be. It's how we write, it's how we act backstage, it's how we act in the car on the way to gigs or whatever. It's just who we are as people. So we're not going to change that as soon as we get on stage, because I think everyone's a bit bored of really moody bands that think they're really cool and don't say anything, like that just like stare and have no emotion on stage. They just think, yeah, we are the coolest thing since Ice Cubes. Like, we are so cool and moody, and like, God, isn't this so profound watching this band? It's like, actually, no, you look like a bunch of idiots. Like,
I guess you just look like you're not having fun.
Yeah, exactly. And we are having fun. Like, we're getting to like follow our dream. Do you know what I mean? Even though we're skint and we've still never paid ourselves in the band once yet, but it's still so much fun. And and I suppose when you speak to musicians who are 50, 60 and they go, why do you leave the band? It's like, well, it's not fun anymore. And that's the point. I think that's why everyone then kind of stops. Obviously, we've improved lots after performing loads and what you can get away with and what you can't get away with, and like reading a crowd and seeing what the reaction's going to be like, and like reading the room or reading the event that you're playing, like where are you on that bill kind of thing. Because there's a lot of times that I'll get into the crowd, but there's sometimes if I'm dead low down the bill, it's not my night. There's no point in me getting in the crowd because everyone's just gonna be like, who's this guy? Like what? We're not here to see you. But then there's sometimes where it's paid off, where I'm going, right, I'm just gonna get into the crowd to be like, oh, okay, this support band are like decent and they're taking it, like they're trying to get us involved, and because that's kind of, I mean, the level that we're at the moment. We're doing a lot of support shows, and one of your main roles as a support band, not that we want to carry on being a support band, obviously, is like you've got to get the crowd warmed up. That's the whole point. And there's been some shows that I remember playing in France, and like just before Christmas, room packed out, did not know us at all, like 500, 600 people. The show goes amazingly, everyone's like loving it, like finished the set, and everyone's like, one more song, and we're all looking at each other going, what the hell, this is crazy, and going, we don't have any more songs, and we can't go back on. Like, but George and Chloe were like, oh no, we've got that, and I'm like, no, it's not our gig, like it's not. There's no point in us doing it just to like pat ourselves on the back a little bit more. Like, if they want one more song, they'll just have to buy a ticket to the next show when we come back, kind of thing. So
keep on wanting more.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that's something that can be taught? Like, is that something that you learn at Goldsmiths at all? Or and the same with, you said you started just like riffing and learning guitar. Like, how much did uni help with that?
It'd be really unfair to say not at all, but arguably not at all. That is the case. Like, not at all. It's helped me for different reasons.
Yeah, sure.
No one is ever going to sign my band because I got a degree in music at Goldsmiths.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. I didn't move to London for my degree. I moved to be a musician and used my uni to live here, to meet other like-minded people, and to try and start a band. And that is what I gained from Goldsmiths. And to be fair, I was never once sat down at Goldsmiths and gone, this is how you should write the perfect song. This is what will make you famous, because you're not taught that, which is, again, why I loved Goldsmiths. It's more just showing you such a broad range of music theory, music culture, history. It's not just music theory and fucking notes on a stave and whatever. Otherwise, I would have left after 2 weeks because it wouldn't have been me. But yeah, no, you can't teach performance. I'm sorry, but you can't. You have to learn it for yourself. The only person that's going to turn you into a good musician, a good singer, a good guitarist, a good drummer is yourself. You have to go out and gig. That's why when I've been asked it before, like, what's the best piece of advice you can give to people that want to start out or whatever? And it's always go and gig.
Yeah.
Go and gig. Stop doing cover songs and go and gig.
Yeah, you've got to cut your teeth.
Yeah.
You have to.
You don't deserve to play your set to 200,000 people, 20,000 people, 2,000 people if you can't play it to 2. Yeah. Like, and you haven't learned to play it to 2. You will have some car crash shows. Everyone does. We've had loads of them. We drove all the way to Stockton and played to 6 people. And like, you do those shows.
Yeah,
you do it. But after that show, one of those 6 people was a really big promoter for a really big festival, and came up to us afterwards and was like, you guys nailed that, and there was no one there to see it. Yeah, my one piece of advice is like, go and gig, because no one's going to be able to teach you like, stand there at that point and stand there and do this at this point and hit that note then. And this is how you should form your set and you should do it like, you're the only person that can figure it out.
Trial and error, I guess,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Like, so getting things wrong.
Yeah. There's been loads of times that, I mean, with our set in particular, we've written a song, start to play it, doesn't work, so it comes out the set for 6 months. And then we go back to the song, look at it again, it goes back in the set. Then it changes its order 3 or 4 times. We've just recently changed our set again. I mean, it's always changing. You speak to any band, their set is always changing. And so, yeah, it is trial and error. You have to figure it out for yourself. It's really annoying, but it is true. There's no one that's going to be able to teach it you. We were saying earlier about being honest and true to yourself and all those kind of cliche phrases, but they're really accurate. They're really, really accurate, because that's what, as fans, everyone wants to go and see. How many times have you been to gigs and you're like, that was rubbish, because you could tell they were putting it on? How many times have you been to see stuff and it's incredible because it's them being them on stage, and that's what the show is brilliant. Like you're saying about Bjork, like that's clearly her, and she has figured it out over so many years after gigging. No one's told Bjork how to play her tunes. Yeah. No one's told Bjork how to be Bjork. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's like I think you can sometimes see bands or artists and it can be like very formulaic. They have to stand on that spot and then they have to go to this light, and it's like, yes, I get that works, and there is something amazing about seeing like a choreographed dance, but there's also something about when it's like there isn't like a sort of like rawness to it, or like this unpredictability, which is really refreshing to see in live music.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, in terms of like, to relate kind of what like we do as talk show as well, there has been a massive resurgence recently of like alternative indie punk guitar bands like making a resurgence and putting on big live shows, like being very vocal about wanting to be good live. I mean, we always said as a band that I'd like tried to describe it to George once, and I was like, I want it to feel like a steam train that's going so fast on the tracks, but it's nearly falling off the tracks. That's how like fast it's going. That's how it needs to feel. That's what I want when I go and see a band. I want it to feel like really powerful and momentous, but it could fall apart at any second, but it just stays together. It's like that fine line that's like the best bit.
So it gets the last guitar string.
Yeah. They've got down to, exactly, the last guitar string, and it's still going. That's the fun stuff for me, really. So, yeah, I think there has been definitely that resurgence of it, and especially live shows. Like, it's always been a focus for us. Obviously, the songs are incredibly important as well, but it's adapted and changed by our live set a lot, really. And you, like you're saying, like the kind of choreographed kind of thing, like you can tell certain bands have planned it. They're going to do that then and that then and that then. We have that. Every band has that element to them somewhat. They kind of go, oh, well, we know we can extend this bit by another 8 bars, 16 bars to kind of go mental, and if the crowd are into it. We have that moment. We have those moments as well where if I do get in the crowd, I know that I can give George the nod that it'll be this song because there's that bit coming up where I can do it. You can't go to like Glastonbury headliners and not have some form of a stage plan. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do have that.
Keep up with it, because ever since I've known you, you've been working. You've been like studying. You've been working. You've been in a band. Yeah. And how do you like keep going?
With a ridiculous amount of self-belief, like in total honesty, that the kind of narrow-mindedness you have to have to be an artist of any kind of artist, whether that's music or painting. It's not arrogance, it's just you have to be that kind of driven for it. I don't want to do anything else. I don't have anything else. I don't like that's it. Like, but you sacrifice a lot. I'm not going to sit here and whinge about it, but I mean, living in London, I've still got a full-time job. I have to, because I've got to pay bills. Like, that's it. But I wouldn't change it for the world. If I could tell 16-year-old me that, like, you will have done a gig in Milan, a gig in France, and whatever, you've never earned a penny from it, but you will have done it. It would be like, sweet, that's wicked, like high five kind of thing. Realistically, to keep going, you've kind of got to have a really stupid amount of self-belief. like I said, I mean, the reason I moved to London was to be a musician, and that was it. It's all I've ever properly wanted. And there are times when you kind of go, no, I need to chill out a little bit. Like, you kind of have a word with your mates are kind of going, you're being an idiot at the moment. Can you kind of just chill out a bit? And you kind of go, oh yeah, no, yeah. Like, I do need to kind of take a step back, and yeah, you sacrifice stuff though. Like, I've got a full-time job, and then I'm in the band. That's kind of it. I have no free time, but I don't. Obviously, I'd love some free time, but if it means sacrificing some of the band or not paying rent, well, it's just not on the cards. It's just not going to happen. I mean, like, I am lucky enough that my mum was always like, I don't care what you do, just work hard at it. And I'm lucky enough that I had my mum say that to me. I know so many people don't have that situation. People go, no, you need a proper job, and you need to go to University of Birmingham, and then you need to go and study geography or whatever, like X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I'm lucky enough that my mum's always been my biggest fan in terms of that. Like, it's really cute, but I love my mum. Big up my mum. She's always been really supportive. Like, obviously, it's helped and benefited me, but there are some people who don't have that. I can understand that as a parent. You kind of go, and your kid's going, I'm going to be a musician. You're going, oh, really? It's such a stupid decision. And like, I joke with mates in the band and going, the worst financial decision I ever made was to be in a band. Like, it is the worst financial decision ever. But yeah, that's when the kind of the undeniable self-belief kind of comes into it. Yeah, I think you can kind of see people that are really driven and take it as seriously as they do, and are actually kind of, what's the word? Not summarizing, but like looking at what they do and the way they approach it is driven in a certain way that they're, yeah, I've worded that badly, but yeah. I think you can tell that certain people that are just on the right path with it. Not to say some people don't deserve to go and pursue it. Everyone has that right. Everyone should be able to do it. But yeah, I think it does take a certain type of person to dare to pursue it. I think that's more the heart of it. Like, it's for some people and it's not for others, really. Like,
you must like give a lot of yourself when you write. Yeah.
Like, I've written songs recently and my girlfriend's going, is this about me? And I'm like, it's not. But I'm telling you now that you've got to get out of the habit of asking me this, because if I say yes, you may be disappointed. And if I say no, you may also be disappointed. So just don't ask me the question, because you might never like the answer, no matter what it is, even if it's mega complimentary song. It just kind of, and I know that's hard for her. I've had the same conversation with family, because I've talked a lot about family, and there's kind of been some stuff where my sister's gone, is it about that? And I go, maybe don't ask that question, kind of thing. Like, I'll tell you, but maybe don't ask that question, or don't.
Yeah, if you don't really want to know the answer.
Yeah, because to be honest, you probably won't really want to know that answer, because it is really personal. You have to, coming back to that point, you have to be a certain type of person to be prepared to kind of put everything out. And there are times when I've written stuff and going, oh no, that's kind of a bit too much. I'd rather kind of like hide that into something else. Not because I'm ashamed and I don't want to actually talk about it, but I feel like there's a better way to put it across that's arguably more accurate. I think sometimes when you are really sad or really angry and you want to write a song, you go, yeah, fuck this person, like, God damn it, like, full stop, like, stabbing the page. But, like, go back to it and go, no, I can talk about this in a better way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of...
Maybe it was too fueled by, like, emotion.
Yeah.
Without reflection.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's arguably why it's taken me so long to write certain songs. It's going, right, well, okay, I know it's about this, but how do I actually want to talk about this situation? Rather than going, these are my initial emotions, boom, like light it on fire and it all just like explodes, like whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like gunpowder pen, like writing so fast there's like flames coming off the page or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a dark room with a candle, like
torture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Torture's new album. Oh God, please, just knock on my door if you ever find me doing that, and just going, Harrison, let's have a cup of tea.
I've never thought about it, but actually, showing family or friends or close friends or your partner or whatever your lyrics or your music when they might know what a lot of it's about.
Yeah.
Do you find that they are sometimes the hardest people to show?
Oh God, that's really difficult. Like yes and no, because they're either going to undeniably have your back about what you've just written down, and if they haven't, well, cool, fine. Like, but it's written now, and I'm putting it out there. I'm going to play this song. I will be playing this song, and I will be recording this song, and I will carry on playing this song. Unfortunately, so we have an open discussion about what this is about.
Right.
Are you okay with that? I mean, they've never been that scathing that it's needed that.
Yeah.
But for an example or whatever, like, we can either talk about it and I'm going to tell you straight that I'm going to carry on playing this song, or you can throw a hissy fit and you can always be angry at me.
Yeah.
But choose your side right now. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this, at the end of the day, is my account of it. And the thing is, like, me personally, I never want to be offensive. Even if it is like a heartfelt song or whatever. Like, I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to offend anyone. But I do want that, for my own, arguably it is pretty selfish. Like, I feel the need that I need to get this off my chest, so I write it into a song. So that is arguably a selfish account, because that other person, if they're not a songwriter, doesn't get that chance. But it's not my fault you didn't want to be in a band. You should start writing songs about it. I don't know. Like, everyone's got their own outlet about stuff. Like, for me, that's how I feel like I've managed to remain sane about loads of stuff, is just writing songs about stuff.
Are there any other things you do to kind of like keep sane? Like you said, like, do you write poetry or?
No, not really. I read a little bit of poetry. Like, I read a little bit of John Cooper Clarke. I read a little bit of Charles Bukowski, a little bit of Charles Baudelaire every now and again. But again, really loose. Like, I'm bad for reading. I think when you hear interviews with other writers and they go, you need to read more, you'll be so influenced by other things other than just music. But I write a lot by staring out the bus window, like looking and nicking phrases from adverts. Like, it's genius. Somebody's already been paid to write that, and I can take that phrase and put it in a lyric. The type of stuff that I'm into is quite kitchen sinky, and like John Cooper Clarke especially, it's kind of, I always wanted to make ordinary stuff sound extraordinary, and so stealing stuff from adverts and phrases from adverts is great, because it's around us constantly. There's constant influence and inspiration all the time. I remember talking to a regular at the pub once who was also a songwriter, and he was like, I don't really read that much either. Like, life is inspiring. Like, and unfortunately, if you're going to be one of these miserable people, like, oh, not much inspiration knocking about, it's like, you're a fool. You're a fool if you think that. So yeah, I'm not the biggest of kind of readers or whatever. I don't kind of also write poetry or also do whatever.
What's the best thing you've nicked?
It's actually, there's been loads of stuff. I mean, a big phrase is just "fuma matter" on the back of cigarette packets. Like, it's in a song about working in a pub, and I was sat in a pub writing it, and I just saw on the other side of the table some bloke had been on holiday to Spain and brought some baccy back with him. I just said "fuma matter," and it kind of was just like, oh yeah, that will be perfect in this part of the song, and it's like the main hook of the song. So there's little bits like that. There's some stuff works, some stuff doesn't, and I think again, like, some stuff changes as well. It's like, okay, right, well, I've got that phrase, how can I make that now not about what that phrase was supposed to be intended for? And oh, what was that phrase advertising? Well, how can I change that to be about this situation that I want this song to be in? And you kind of flip stuff around and add a question mark or whatever. It changes it constantly. I mean, writing lyrics for me is just the most fun thing ever. And that's why I don't like... I mean, I do like sitting at home and writing, but sometimes I like to just sit in public and just write and sit on a bus or sit in a pub or just... And a lot of the times with headphones in as well. I know some writers find that really difficult because you've got another voice going, but sometimes it's just kind of to just have words going in the background. Not that you're actually nicking words from that song, but it's constant stimulation. It's like, you know, like a randomizer on the internet. It's like just constantly clicking it, and like going, that works, that doesn't, that works, that doesn't, that works. I'll take that, I take that, I take that, I take not that. Do you know? It's like constant. There's constant content everywhere. Like you can't not find something to put in a song. People go, oh, I don't feel inspired. I don't know what to write. It's like, well, go walk down the street. Like, okay, that might not be your style. It is very my kind of style to write like that, and especially it fits for my delivery of singing, speaking, kind of in the middle. But for me personally, my own writing style, that's like it's everywhere. Like that, it can be a song. That turtle, or I don't know, that mug, or the stains in the bottom of the mug, or whatever. It's like it's all. Yeah, sorry, I'm not meant to insult Hattie's mug, but it's all that kind of stuff is inspiring. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny because I've actually spoken to quite a few different, I'm going to emphasize the different in a minute, types of artists. One was an erotic poet. Don't ask.
That's off-piste. That is off-piste.
Yeah. And another musician, he writes just looking out the bus window as well, and writes notes on his phone. And this erotic poet does the same thing as well, writes erotic poetry on the tube. And I just...
No!
Yeah, I mean, imagine...
That's amazing!
Over. Yeah.
That is so good. That's mad.
It makes me wonder how many people do it. And if... I wonder if London, if that's what keeps some people in London as well, like, because of the amount of transport that's available.
The commute is like... definitely seeps into the way that I write. Like it takes me an hour to get to work, and it seeps into the sound of our EP that's coming out. Like 100%, it seeped into it in terms of lyric writing, production style, the pace of it, and also the kind of the slower motions of this of the EP or whatever, the slower periods of it are also still insanely influenced by transport and being on the move and the commute, because it's such a bizarre phenomenon, the commute. It fits for my style of writing because I like writing about people and the world and society, not in a political way, and not trying to pass any judgment on anyone either, ever. I've always tried to remain on the fence about stuff. It's merely observational styles of writing. That's what I kind of like doing. The music that I want to write, the pace of it fits. Like there's so many times when I'll just like put something on and just have this like really abrasive 80s punk blaring, like whilst I'm storming through London Bridge Station or whatever. But it fits. It like, I mean, I suppose everyone has their own thing of going, oh, this song fits for me walking through this station or whatever, but it's, yeah.
Do you ever feel like you're in a film with it? Like,
yeah, all the time.
Like you're one of those people.
Yeah, all the time. And I've just like legged it down an escalator. I'm like, oh, I could just like slide down this banister and like dive through the doors and then I'm on the train or whatever. But
are you one of those people who will sit on a train whilst it's raining and the sort of I nearly said tears then, but you know what I mean?
Raindrops.
The raindrops like come down and you're like, yeah, like do you embrace your sort of sadness?
A little bit, but I kind of tend to watch myself. I know we said earlier, like there are romantic sides to what I'm writing, but I'm never going to be the person that's going to be like overly kind of sad and woe is me, blah, 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 like the raindrops across the fields of wherever. Like, I'm just not that type of person. Like, I've never let myself do that one. I always find, like, because I'm from Manchester, getting the train back home to Manchester or coming to London is a great time to write and just stare out the window at just countryside and nothing. And so there are those moments of like raindrops on the window or whatever, but you're like, I'll catch myself doing it and going, what am I writing? This is just not natural at all. Like, just doesn't fit to be overly, I can't think of the word, but like
self-indulgent.
Yeah, like overly self-indulgent about my own feelings and my own emotions. Yes, I want to get some stuff down on paper, but then if it's just self-indulgent, why is anyone else going to want to listen to it? Like, I've tried to always try and keep my songs or like lyrics as open as possible that anyone can relate to it, because it's more fun to do that. I always struggle when you watch certain singers, writers, bands, whatever, and it's so self-indulgent. I can't click with it. I can't connect to it because it's too personal to that person, that they're actually in a way not letting you in. They're not letting you into their world, and in my eyes, not written a good song if they can't do that. I always try and keep it as open and as like open-ended as possible. When I start writing lyrics for a song, like start writing lyrics with like, as this happened or as that happened. And it's like, it's weird that I always think of it as if the sentence has already started, and when I'm finishing it, I never want the phrase to actually feel like a full stop. I actually want it to still end like broadly, like it doesn't actually sound like it's finished. That's probably sacrilege. Some people would be like, what, you're absolutely mental, but that's my personal style of writing.
I'm super conscious of time, so you have to get to work. Any final thoughts? What are you listening to at the moment? Any bands you can recommend?
Ooh, okay. A really great poet performance called Sinead O'Brien, Irish woman, kind of very spoken word, kind of bit Patti Smith, very John Cooper Clarke. She actually went on tour with John Cooper Clarke recently. A band called Crush Beaks. A band called Pet Shimmers from Bristol. A band called Dame Frizzle. Loads of weird stuff. Loads of really weird stuff. It's kind of a lot of stuff from Bristol, actually. There's loads of good stuff coming out of Bristol.
What can I say?
Yeah.
We're a
exactly.
great breed of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think alternative guitar music's having a really good moment. It's been said 1,000,001 times by so many different people, but there is a lot more out there and a lot on offer, and it's good.
Hey, music might become mainstream.
Ooh.
I mean, let's hope so, because yeah. Maybe I'll pay the bills with it once. Who knows?
Thanks so much to Harrison for a great first episode. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. You can find out more about Talkshow by following them on Instagram at Talkshow, on Facebook at Talkshow Band, or buying their music on Bandcamp at Talkshow.
We hope you've enjoyed the episode and want to keep us on repeat. You can follow, subscribe and like us on your podcast platform of choice, and slide into our DMs on Instagram by following us at On Repeat the Podcast. All information will be included in the show notes.
On Repeat was made, produced and edited by us, and the theme music is an original piece by Ellie's jazz band Fujiyama and wonderfully resampled by Dee, the producer for the podcast. All of our guests give us permission to use their music. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to keep it on repeat.